Good evening. Today I'm going to be talking about why abortions should be rare. Note, not illegal, just rare. In 1973, the United States Supreme Court ruled that government restrictions on abortions are unconstitutional, therefore legalizing the act of terminating an unwanted pregnancy. There are many complicated reasons why women choose to abort a pregnancy, but the largest reason is financial. 40% of women who participated in a survey by BMC Women's Health stated that the reason they received an abortion was financial. Either these women could not afford another child, or they did not earn enough to support a single child. The second most stated reason that a woman aborted her pregnancy, at 36%, was that she felt it was not the right time to have a kid. It is alarming that society has justified the murder of an unborn human by simply stating that it was not the right time for the parent. It has been argued that a human fetus acts as a parasite to the mother until it is born. The Center for Disease Control states that a parasite is an organism that lives on or in a host organism and gets its food from or at the expense of its host. In fact, the placenta plays an important role in ensuring that the mother receives enough nutrients to sustain herself, therefore eliminating a fetus's eligibility as a parasite. By knowing the top reasons that women receive an abortion, understanding the science and classification of an embryo, and acknowledging the degradation in mental health among women who have an abortion, it becomes clear that the only reason a woman should be allowed to abort a pregnancy is if the pregnancy specifically endangers the life of the mother, like in case of an ectopic pregnancy. There is not one definitive reason that women abort their babies. In reality, the vast majority of women who abort their pregnancies is for a host of reasons that do not adequately justify the abortion. As stated previously, 40% of women who participated in a survey by BMC Women's Health stated that the reason they received an abortion was financial. Of those respondents, 38% claimed general finances as the reason they aborted, 4% stated that they were unemployed or underemployed, 0.6% stated that they did not have insurance or were not eligible to receive welfare, and 0.4% stated that they did not want government assistance. It is not a mystery that children are a heavy financial burden. However, it is not the child's fault that they started to exist, or that is the fault of the two parents. The product of sex is another human. If the parent was not financially prepared to have a child the moment they were deciding whether or not to fornicate, they should have decided against reproducing. Because they made a poor decision, they will have to suffer the consequences of their action by at least carrying out the pregnancy. The parent does not have to be financially responsible for the child in case of adoption, but they should have to ensure that it lives up to the time of birth. The second most stated reason that a woman aborted her baby, at 36%, was that she felt it was not the right time to have a kid. It is alarming that society has justified the murder of an unborn human by simply reasoning that it was not the right time for the parent. If I felt it were not the right time for me to have another brother, does that give me the right to kill him? No. One way people often dismiss the guilt or accountability of aborting a pregnancy is by denying the fact that the embryo is human. Many people are under the assumption that an embryo acts as a parasite to the mother up until birth. This could not be further from the truth. The placenta is an organ that grows at the top of the inside of the uterus as the baby forms. The placenta is not an idle tissue that takes nutrients from the mother and provides it to the baby at a constant rate. It actually communicates with both the baby and the mother, only taking enough nutrients to ensure the baby survives and leaving enough for the mother to remain healthy. The Center for Disease Control states that a parasite is an organism that lives on or in a host organism and gets its food from or at the expense of its host. The embryo does not feed off the mother at her expense. Instead, the placenta regulates the nutrients and ensures that the mother also maintains enough nutrients to live. In Fetal and Neonatal Physiology, Torvid Keisrud and Guttorm Hugin state at mid-gestation, the fraction of fetal cardiac output circulating the umbilical circuit is 30%, but declines during the third trimester to 20% or less at term. Simply put, as the embryo develops, it depends less and less on the mother, proportional to the gestation period. This does not fit the CDC's definition for a parasite. This embryo has its own unique blood supply and DNA. At 5 to 6 weeks, the baby has its own heartbeat. It is important to note that most women don't find out they are pregnant until the 4 to 6 week mark. At this point, it should be considered a viable human life and remain under the full protection of Constitution. It is not the mother's body, nor is it always her choice to decide if the baby is allowed to live. As we can see in this graph, in 2016, 2/3 of abortions occurred at 8 weeks of pregnancy or earlier, and 88% occurred in the first 12 weeks. Looking at this embryonic development chart, it's clear that at weeks 4, the embryo has a heart and a spleen and liver and organs, and now has its own blood supply, separate from that of the mother. And if most women are aborting at or before week 8, the embryo looks quite human at that time. It's not like taking out a clump of cells. The next factor to consider when discussing the right of a woman to kill her kid is the mental and physical health of the mother post-abortion. Amanda Lautieri from Laguna Treatment Hospital reports that women who abort a pregnancy are 34% more likely to develop anxiety, 37% more likely to experience depression, 110% more likely to abuse alcohol, 155% more likely to commit suicide, and 220% more likely to abuse marijuana. A similar study also showed that women were also more likely to have poor mental health if they denied an abortion. However, these women are not experiencing a decline in mental health because of the baby. They are experiencing the natural consequences of their decision to engage in the act, which has a chance of producing a baby when they were not financially, emotionally, relationally, or circumstantially prepared to raise a child. Even if they were attempting to be responsible by taking contraceptives, no contraceptive is 100% effective. That being said, the mother and father need to be held accountable for their decision, if it was consensual, by seeing that the baby is born. After that, there are plenty of women who are prepared and want to have children who would gladly adopt. The problem of abortion is not whether abortion is ethical or unethical. Aborting an unwanted pregnancy is the product of parents and society failing to teach the ramifications of engaging in sexual activity before the individuals are prepared to have a child. In summation, the most common reason that women receive abortions can be chalked up to unwanted pregnancies. Only 6.5% of abortions were necessary to the health of the mother. The fetus is a growing human with separate DNA to the mother and does not meet the CDC's definition for a parasite. The dismissal of an abortion by stating that an embryo is a passive clump of cells is scientifically inaccurate and completely disregards the accountability of the mother. Lastly, the mental health of the mother changes regardless of if she aborts a pregnancy or follows through with the birth. If she does abort the pregnancy, she is more likely to experience anxiety and depression. If the mother is forced to carry the baby, she is also more likely to develop anxiety and depression. So the cause of her mental strain is not due to the denial of an abortion. The cause of the woman's mental strain, or degradation, is the choice she and her partner made to engage in the activity which produces children before they were ready to support a child. By knowing the top reasons that women receive an abortion, understanding the science and classification of an embryo, and acknowledging the degradation in mental health among women who have an abortion, it becomes clear that the only reason a woman should be allowed to abort a pregnancy is if the pregnancy specifically endangers the life of the mother. Thank you.